There are two answers to this. One is the technical answer, pretty basic technical answer. I had great education. I had all of the things that were required, just like the men did, to make this path. I had a great education, happened to be an engineer, went through a series of roles at the company that prepared me for even bigger roles, and then ultimately for the role that I took. I extended myself out of the company and spent quite a bit of time in the community, in working with government. So I had a package that was ready, was fit for the job. But the real story is, that's the technical part of the story. The real story is that, as you said, I was black, I was a woman, and I was poor. And the rhetoric around these three characteristics is that you are set for failure. And it's more than a rhetoric, it is the standard structure of how our society operates. But my mother actually made it clear to me, and to my brother and my sister, but to me, that those two things are facts, that two of them are unbelievable strengths that you should build on, being a woman and being black. These are attributes that are positive attributes, not negative attributes at all. The poor thing is one that we have to work on, because that's an attribute that, if it continues throughout your life, it will be very, very difficult. So she made it very clear to me that there were very few obstacles that I could not work my way out of. And don't really spend a whole lot of time thinking about what other people think. So this question I say to people who ask me, think about the question. I couldn't tell you, right? Because I've never been a man, right? So I managed a team the way that I managed a team. Right. I do believe that, from what I can observe, that women have some distinct differences. One of them that I realized earlier was that our ability to listen is more keenly refined than men's abilities to listen. Right. Second is our ability to empathize. I think this is a very positive trait that women can't give away once they start to get into more and more positions. Our ability to empathize brings out the best in people, better in people, more in people. Our ability to team. Right. So based on how, now we're changing this, right? Because we're raising our children differently. So we're going to have to find different ways to actually emphasize the value that a woman's nature, inherent nature, can bring. But these differences used to be viewed as weaknesses, and now more than ever we need more empathy in work, not sympathy, right? More empathy in work. This ability that we have to be able to work together, that there are win-wins, that there are ways to actually get what you need without crushing somebody. It's not everything is a war game, right? These are things that I think ended up being attributes and strengths for me, and are for women in general. And interestingly enough, one of the reasons why I believe that one of the things that helped me to be successful is I had a little bit less of those things than most women. I am extreme, and it's an interesting balance, right? So I'm not as empathetic. I'm not as teamy. Slightly more manly, which is interesting, right? Yeah. And that's one of the things I think that made it a little bit easier. Yeah, one of the things is to come, right? To come and visit, even though that. This is your second visit. It's my second visit. Well, second visit as Vian. I've been to Pakistan. I was in Pakistan twice before that. Yeah. With Xerox? With Xerox. I mean, not very long. Went to Lahore and a place in the north that I can't remember the name of ever.
Fantastic. What years were those?
Oh, 84?
So you were very young in your career at the time?
Yeah, I was the 84 and 91. I was working, one of them was working as an engineer, and the other one I was working for a person who ran sales and marketing. Okay. But I came as a helper of somebody who was doing work, if you know what I mean. I was not the principal, or even somebody who had to really understand the economies or the nature, but it was good to come. Yeah. Then I came back again here. This is my second time here. Yeah. One is to come only because the movies don't give a good or accurate depiction of the country. Right. This is particularly true here. Okay. Right? I'm sure there are other nations that have that way, but if you come here, if you listen to the rhetoric, you would think The streets are full, milling with people. You know, you get it. There's like no order. There are people all over the place. There's sewage and sanitation. Is not clean food. All these kind of negative images, or at least specific images. It's a country that has roads and people going about their business every single day. They clearly have a side of the economy, like everybody, that has to be brought into modern times. But so one is to come, so that you can actually see for yourself what you're dealing with, even though you can't over-index on that because you can't see a lot. You can't see everything. The second is to really spend time with the people, even if they come to us. So the leaders that we have, Amir Ibrahim, who's the president, CEO of this market, one of his fundamental responsibilities is to make sure that the leadership at the VIAN level understands what we have to understand about Pakistan, because he is the guardian, he is the representative of that market in the boardroom for us.
Right.
That's the way that you do it. This is about technology, technology. So, this country is growing, population growing. They are going to be, most of them are already digital natives. These people didn't go back. Most of the employees that we have, a lot of the employees that we have, a lot of the customers of the companies that we do business with, a lot of the business that we do business with, businesses that we do business with are growing in this time where the ability to transform a business, to build on the back of a business based on digital technologies are here.
Okay.
Right? And the thing that is really important, that I spend quite a bit of time with business leaders here and government leaders here, is building the infrastructure, building an enabling infrastructure for rapid progress.
Okay.
And that it is, in a country like this, is vital, but in a country like this is very difficult, because some of this enabling work you have to do is in basic infrastructure,
Yes.
right? Things like access to education. So having people who can have basic reading and writing skills is vital for the success of our company, the success of VIAN.
Right.
So we have to actually help these governments. I love that we call it corporate social responsibility, but I just call it corporate responsibility. It's if you don't have an educated customer base, you just can't even,
Right.
We don't sell buggies and whips, we sell technology. So having people who have the skills to use it and has access to it, and having an infrastructure that it can be prolific on are very, very important. So I spend quite a bit of time with let's work together on how do we form a partnership to progress business. It may seem very selfish to us,
Right.
but it's not only, it is in some ways very selfish to us, but it's foundational and required for the country. For my family, and for me, obviously, I like doing what I do. I really do like doing what I do. Even this second run around, right? CEO for 9 years at Xerox, president CEO for 9 years at Xerox, on the board for my God, 10 years at Xerox. And why would you do this again, right? Because the work is really good and fun and interesting, and it's something that I can do fairly well. So that's what. But I have these children that are examples of every child in the world. One of the things I'm really, really passionate about is education, particularly STEM education. It was my path out of a bad economic situation. I had a great family situation. It was my path out of a bad economic situation, and it can be the path out for every single person if they get fundamental educational skills and then they refine them towards something that's valuable. It is a way for their family to get to the next level. There's no doubt about that. Not everybody has access to that,
Right.
but everybody should. It's not that hard. Good news, both Xerox and VIAN didn't have to wait for me to get there. Meaning really, I mean, I luckily happened to join two companies that my passions aligned with the company's passions, or vice versa. So Xerox was really into education, and Vion is into what I call enabling technologies. The entire reason why we have communication devices. Basically, this is what these things are. They are devices that allow the citizens of their markets to participate more fully in the economies, right? To participate more fully in education and in health, basic communication. And it's one of the best things that I found when I got here is that I didn't have to start banging on a table. Let's do corporate social responsibility. No, I got here. I participated yesterday in a activity that Vion is supporting with the Minister of Education, with Huawei, and with a Knowledge Foundation here in town to help girls' schools have access to digital technologies that will enhance their education. That's not something I thought of. This is something that they had thought of, that are all by themselves. And if you go to most of the markets that we're in, I'd say all of the markets that we're in, this is something that fundamentally is in the nature of the company because it's in the nature of what we do as a business. I'll answer this question with the standard answer that I give. One is that there's two. We never ask a man that question.
And I was going to say, is it insulting that I ask you that?
No, it's not insulting at all. I think it's highly relevant and valuable to ask. But I want us to also start asking men, even if all it does is guilt them into thinking about it. Right?
It is a good point,
right?
yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm sure that some of them do, but a lot of them don't. And so they should start thinking about how did they balance, right? Because we think about it as we have this foundation, and then we have the foundation of the family, women, and they have to take something away and kind of make it balance. Men think of it as I have this foundation of work, and I have to take something away to be with my family. It's kind of an odd starting point. I think we both have the same foundations, which are our family. But I had a couple of things. One, I had the best husband in the world when it comes to this part of the relationship, right? I had the best husband in the world in a lot of ways as well. He passed away in January of this year, very unexpectedly, yeah. I'm not going to cry, so let's move on. This has been a tough transition for me, but he was pretty remarkable. He was 20 years older than I am. I am. And he had gone through all of the crap already. You know what I mean? He's already grown up. By the time I met him, he was
mature.
It was totally mature. None of fast cars, crazy. I mean, he knew what he liked and how, and he was very, very, very proud and supportive of my success. So he retired right when, after 41 years at Xerox, he worked 41 years. He retired after 41 years at Xerox, right when my career started to go crazy. I mean, I was already on a pretty steep trajectory, but right when I took over a big piece of the infrastructure of the company, we talked to him. We said, there's no way we're going to be able to do this on our current methodology, which was we split everything. You know, I mean, everything was split. We would work it out every day, but I was traveling more and more, and we did not want our kids to be outsourced totally. They were outsourced partially, but we couldn't do it totally.
Right.
So he quit and stayed home, retired and stayed home, and which was very, very useful. And he was he was my alter ego. It was really important to have somebody who could support me like that. So that's one. The other one is that I don't take this idea of the role model mother very seriously, because my mother was not one. My mother was, she did whatever it took to make sure that we knew we were loved. But she had to break every other visual rule of a parent, right? She spent time looking for food. I mean, we didn't have a lot of food. She did all these kind of different jobs. We brought wash into the house. She would take care of other people's children. So she was an entrepreneur mother, you know. So she wasn't a typical view. So I didn't have this, you know, stay at home, go to every single game. And I had a good role model for that. And I realized early that I felt secure, loved, very, very confident, even with this woman who wasn't around me every day, wasn't hovering all over me every day. So we raised our kids that way. A large number of mothers, particularly in situations or economies or portions of the economy where they are marginalized, do the best for the generation behind them, right? for their children. They know that they probably don't have a lot of shot in their own immediate life to fundamentally change their personal position, but they prepare their children for the ability that their children will be ready to change the situation. So my mother was just like that. She happened to be extremely stubborn and unbelievably optimistic, even though you wouldn't have thought it on most days because she was spending. But she was very optimistic about our input work resulting in positive things. There was no belief that no matter how hard we work, we would fail, or no matter how hard we work, we'd be stuck. It was just the opposite. It was you work really hard, you can probably change your situation. Never did she think I would become the CEO of anything. She didn't know what a CEO was. But I remember when I was growing up, she never, ever, ever, she said to me all the time, she never expects us to be a failure.
Okay.
Plain and simple. I mean, we're going to be prepared well, and we're going to be successes in whatever we choose to do. Yeah, the biggest regret that I have is that I didn't have more children.
Okay.
If I would have thought about it a little bit more and done better planning, because part of it is just tactically you can't have them after a while, and physically you can. I would have had more children. One of the things that, yeah, it was hard when they were younger, you know, because it's crazy when the kids are young. I mean, they're all over the place. They don't really follow the direction. They don't meet the expectations that you have of them in their order, and you know, when they wake up and when they go to sleep. So there's a certain amount of time that it's really crazy, but then there's right after that, right after that, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is, you start to get bombarded with the other side of the equation, right? Just these great people who love you no matter what happens. In progress, but with a good start. So I still have a ways to go before I can, before I wrap it up or feel like I can do that comfortably. I think that there's concentric circles of impact in life. I think about this always. You take care of yourself and your family. That's the innermost circle. That's fundamental requirement. That's hygiene. You have to do that. And your family is not just your kids. It is your parents if they're alive, your brothers and sisters. So this tight nucleus. Success for me, my mother used to always say this, you have to leave behind more than you take away. And so I have a lot now. And so think about how much I had a great education on the back of some people who I don't even know who gave me access to an education, scholarships to go to college, stipends to make sure I didn't have to work full-time when I went to college. Just a level of amazing, a husband and a mother who actually taught me some good rules about how to live, that you respect other people. So I have all these graces that were given to me, and what I have to do is make sure that every day in my life that I actually impart some of these graces on people, and at the end of the day, I should be neutral on graces, if you know what I mean. Right? I have all of this stuff now, and I should make sure that we get some away. And I think I'm far from that.